Social media has become an inevitable, useful tool in our everyday life, and that is whether we want it or not. However, it affects us in one way or another. One of those ways is our mental health. Today, we have very beautiful people on our panel to discuss on how young people interact with social media and how that could affect their mental health. Social media has grown not to be just a thing for young people. The latest data show that 29% of people between 18 to 24 of age are addicted to social media, while 16% of people who are addicted are between 25 to 34. Even people who are above that age are not an exception. So today, we have people along the range of those different ages to answer some questions that our very own Cindy has for us, so that she can get us more on the tips of how to use social media without necessarily harming ourselves. I will let everybody introduce themselves. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Kadiza Kairagwa Ahonera. I'm 16 years old and I'm a student at Collège Saint-André.
Hello, so my name is Colin Kazungu and I'm 23 years old and I'm a student in university at the Adventist University of Central Africa. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to this panel discussion. I'm Dr. Cindi Cassidy. I'm a clinical psychologist with Indera Neuropsychiatric Hospital.
Thank you. Do you have questions for us? You can ask.
I do. I have a list of questions for you.
Yeah.
Regarding your use of social media, how you use it. So the first question is, what time of the day do you start picking your phone to use your phone?
Right away when I wake up.
So first thing?
Yes, first things in the morning.
Okay.
I think after preparing myself for the morning, all the morning routine, I end with my phone.
Okay.
Yes.
So you do other things before you pick up your
before
phone?
picking up my phone.
Okay.
Yes.
Me, as I open my eyes, I look at my phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which app do you use most on your phone?
Instagram.
Instagram.
And Snapchat.
And Snapchat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for me, it is Instagram and WhatsApp.
Okay.
I think for me, it's also Instagram and WhatsApp, and I'll say Twitter as well.
And Twitter.
Yes.
Okay. I think for me, I would say it's WhatsApp and then Instagram. And I'm kind of like you. I open my eyes, I reach for my phone, and I and I check WhatsApp messages. Yeah. Okay. So how many hours a day do you spend checking social media or interacting with social media on your phone?
Okay, well, to be honest, I think I spend more than half of my day on my phone. Well, not consecutive hours,
Okay.
but I think I spend more than half of my day. I'll say from 12 to 14 hours a day on my phone, on social media.
For me, I think when I don't have to go somewhere like parties or family gatherings, I think it's the whole day.
Okay.
I don't know how many hours exactly, but I think it's the majority of my day. Not to mean that I spend the whole day on my social media, but I think an hour cannot pass before I check if any notification has arrived.
Okay, but do you think part of that is because of your job?
Part of it is because of my job, yes, but I also think there is a need to keep being updated on what's going on.
So the personal,
yeah.
more than...
No, not necessarily more than.
Okay, but equally.
Equally,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would say my use varies. I have an app that shows me how much time I'm using. Mm-hmm. So if I see that I'm kind of over 4 hours a day, I kind of like, oof, okay, I got to work on this. Yes. So it's my own monitor, yeah. Okay, so do you generally have a bedtime, yeah, that you usually go to sleep. Do you ever find yourself using social media? You're laying in bed and you're checking your phone past, so maybe you're there for hours on your phone?
All the time.
Okay.
All the time.
I would say all the time too. And I think that at some point in my life. It disrupted my sleeping schedule. But I think it's all the time.
Okay.
For me too, I could say that it's all the time. Even in the middle of the night when I wake up and go to pee, I come back and I open
check your
I
phone.
check my phone.
Do you ever compare yourself with people that you know online?
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what way do you compare?
Like, for example, I may see somebody like wearing this, and I feel like I can wear it. I want to wear it. Yeah, and like, for example, I can see my friend going on a restaurant, and I wish that I could go to
Okay.
that restaurant. Yeah.
Okay. So things, the way people look or what people are doing, you're
Yeah.
kind of like, ooh, I'd like to
What
do
they
that.
owe. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I think I do all the time, unwillingly and sometimes unconsciously, but I still do. For example, what somebody is putting on their reel, I'm like, how do they do to go to all these places? Do they live? Do they work? And I come up with a lot of questions, and then when I try to look at my own life, I'm like, would I be able to do it? Would I be able to afford the same phone? So I'm constantly comparing myself with people I
Okay.
follow.
Okay.
I would say not willingly. I can't compare myself saying, oh, he's like that and I have to be like this. But unwillingly, we all do. I think we all do. But I also think I'm more of a judgy person. So I can't like willingly compare myself to them. So I'm like, if he does this, does he have a life? Where does he get all this time to do all this? I actually don't, though I spend more than half of my day on my phone, I don't have time to do all these things, go to all these places. So how do they do this? You keep
Right.
asking yourself those questions.
Right.
So I'll say not willingly.
Okay. Okay. Do you ever follow people that you envy, hate, or who annoy you?
Oh, wow. A lot.
Okay.
Because sometimes, when you follow someone, and we all know that social media is most of the time a lie. The lives that they live are not the ones they show on social media. So sometimes you envy them, but not, I won't say in a bad way, but sometimes, yes, in a bad way. We are human, so yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Now that I think of it, I think there's this one girl that I used to hate in high school, and I was always checking her Instagram. Even when she didn't post anything, I would go to see if there's something I missed on. So it's like I know she annoys me. I know I don't like her, but still
You're
I
curious.
find myself wanting to know what she's up to. Did she post? Maybe just to criticize. I'm like, I don't like her outfit, but I saw it. So yeah, sometimes, and it sometimes make me feel angry, and I hate it after watching her, but I still go and watch her.
For me, I don't follow people I envy. I hate one. No, I don't.
Okay. And why?
Just I'm not interested
Okay.
because I don't like you.
Okay. 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 Do you ever feel the need to lie online?
Of course.
Okay. In what ways?
Maybe I may go through some bad things, and I lie that I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you present everything
Yeah,
as really...
I pretend. Yeah, I lie.
Okay.
It's very sad to admit, but yeah. I think I sometimes feel like I want to lie about the details. I'm like, sometimes they will never find out anyway, or I have to look at my best online, so I may lie about my feelings or my status quo or my level just to impress, I
Okay.
guess.
I think saying the need to lie is a bit of a big word. So I kind of omit some details, not give the whole of details. I'll still post a picture of me smiling while I'm crying. So
Okay.
it's not lying, but not giving like the whole story, the whole
Okay.
truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How do you decide to post a photo online? Like what's the analysis, like what's the motivation behind posting online?
I say a picture that me personally I like, I have to post it.
Okay.
If I like it, then I post it. I don't have an analysis that I go through. If I like it, then I post it. I don't care if you like it or
Okay.
if my followers like it. If I do, then I post it.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, if I am looking good today and I decide to take a picture, and later I'll post it. If I look good.
Okay. If you think you look good.
If I think I look
Okay.
good, yeah.
Well, I think I really go through a whole analysis before I click on the post, because I have to check if that clothes, I don't have any other picture that I posted before wearing the same clothes. I have to check the photo quality. I have to check whether I was smiling in a good way, like in a way I feel comfortable with or not. I have to check if it's Instagram. I tend not to post pictures with other people. I don't know why. I haven't figured it out yet. But if I'm with other people, then I have to decide if it's for my WhatsApp status or if it's my story on Instagram. So I really go through a lot of, how do I say it? Call it a scheme. Not on like purpose, but I just find myself having to think about the caption first, having to think about, I even go back and see, do I still want it to be on my feed or can I remove it? So I can post it and later remove it. So
Okay.
really depends.
Well, you go through a process.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Do you ever feel lonely or, hooked, kind of addicted, and forget to do other things after you're scrolling through Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok?
Well, yeah, I think I do not necessarily have to be hooked and then forget about other things. Or when it's more like when I'm trying to avoid other things.
Doing something.
Yes. Or let's say I'm waiting for someone, then I can be scrolling through TikTok or Instagram Reels. Or let's say I'm not feeling in the mood to write an article, I don't feel inspired, then I could be scrolling, and then before I know it, it's already too late. Or I'm about to sleep and then I'm scrolling and then I'm like, okay, 1 more hour, before I know it's 3 hours. So it's not it's not me like let's say waking up with no intention to use my phone and then I ended up using it the whole day. No, it's more like I do it willingly and then I end up losing control over it.
So it's unconscious. You just
Unconscious, yeah.
Well, I think it's the same thing. You can do it consciously, like you sit there and then go on a whole scrolling rampage. No, but I think it's more of when you're bored, when you want to avoid doing something, when you want to avoid talking to someone, when you want to be alone with yourself. So some people tend to not talk to you when they see you busy. So you kind of lose yourself in that process and then lose control and then, don't do other things. I think that's it for me.
Me too. I would say it's not consciously. Like when I go in the public, I use my phone a lot to avoid people who come and talk to you, the strangers. And sometimes maybe I have to clean the house at 5, for example, and I go through TikTok and I don't remember that I have to do that work.
How hard would it be for you to take a break from social media?
Sometimes during the pandemic, during the COVID pandemic, in the time where we were supposed to be at home all the time, me and my family, we found out that we are using social media a lot, and we decided to take a break. But I did it alone. My parents didn't. Yeah. It was so hard. I gave myself 3 days, but I did 1 day. Yeah, that's what I fulfilled.
So you managed to get through 1 day?
1 day.
No social media?
No social media, but it was so hard.
I'd say I have tried like, let me say, like right now, I've been trying to have a social media detox for about 3 months ago. I've tried to have a whole month not using social media or not using some specific apps, but I have never succeeded. I can go for 2 days, and then in the afternoon you'll be like, oh no, maybe they need me, maybe, I have to call this person, or I have, so I have never succeeded going off a whole social media detox that I had planned
Right.
to go through with it. I have never went through.
So why did you want to do a detox? What was the
So,
motivation behind that?
I think that sometimes when I'm using social medias a lot, like I am an active person on social media. I can't say I'm addicted to social media, but I am pretty active. So sometimes I forget, I follow you, yes, but I am more of a cold person than text. So sometimes I forget about other people and I find myself in my own space. So when I need to go a bit more out of my space, I have to, get away from the social media because that takes more of my time. So sometimes you think you can go through and then you find people don't actually have that time to talk to you or anything, but you have made time. So it kind of constrains the whole social media detox process.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, for me, there are times I feel drained, and then I feel like, okay, I'm tired. I wanna take a break, but then I haven't tried to stay out of social media for more than a day. Let's not even talk about deleting any of my social media. I just can't. Maybe I can archive or I can freeze the app. But it doesn't even stay there for more than 24 hours. So it's more of, even when I try to go off, let's say I turn off the internet so I don't be tempted to see the notifications and all that, I find when I come back, I find that a lot of things have went on without me, and I kind of feel sad about that life can actually go on without me. Or if I come back and then I don't find any message, I feel like, I didn't know I was not that important. But when I'm online, it feels like I'm needed. I'm receiving messages. I feel active. I feel like I'm part of. I feel basically like I'm going through. I'm going with people. I'm updated.
Okay. So do you know what FOMO is?
You mean
FOMO. Do you know what that is?
FOMO? No.
Fear of missing out.
Yeah,
That's what you just described. So this is a phenomenon that happens, right, which keeps people engaged so that you don't want to miss out. You want to know what's happening, even people you don't like, right? I have to know what she's doing. So it's very addicting, this FOMO.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I feel when I'm when I'm off social media, and it's a pretty bad feeling. So yeah, it's very hard to be off social media.
Okay. So how often would you say you check your phone without any alerts or notifications, calling you, right, to the phone? You just pick it up and you're looking. Like how many times a day?
I think all the time.
Okay.
I think all the time I'm constantly checking whether I hear. There's sometimes even when I hear my phone vibrating or I hear my phone ringing in my head, and then when I check, I find it was not even ringing. But I kind of feel like there's something going on, so I gotta check. Or wait, it hasn't come any.
Okay, so there's nothing there?
Yeah, there's nothing. Or did I install? Is my phone on silent mode?
Okay.
You're like, I don't do this willingly. I just find myself
right.
doing
It's
it.
unconscious. You just
Yeah, it happens.
Well, I think it happens a lot. Like, I can say I'm on a stage where if I'm in a room full of people and a phone rings, I think it's mine. It has to be mine. If it's not mine, I'm frustrated.
Okay.
But I think it's unconscious, like you said. I think it's unconscious. You don't actually need to have something on the phone to go and check it.
Right.
You find yourself checking your phone like all the time, thinking there's something, there's nothing, and you're like, you don't check.
Yeah.
Me too, I think it's all the time. Sometimes when the internet isn't working, I still go through my phone and go to check my photos and check the texts that I have been interacting with people long ago. Yeah, it's all the time.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever been bullied on social media?
Did I? I don't think so.
You've never been bullied? No one's ever said unkind things about you or commented negatively about you to other people, other friends?
If it did happen, I don't remember, but
Okay.
it didn't.
Okay.
Even if it happened, I didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I think there's this post I once did. It was a story I had written here at the New Times, and then somebody just decided that they were very pissed because of the article, and it was not even an opinion. So I was very much angry as well. I was like, how could, like, can you first read? Can you first read before you give your comment? So yeah, and what frustrated me more is that they attacked me beyond the article and actually became
At a personal level.
Yeah, and next time when I posted a picture of myself on Twitter, the same person came back and was like, no wonder you look like that, because even your ideas, he was saying something like your ideas match your look, something like that, and I was like, whatever that means, it is mean. And yeah, I think I also have friends who have been bullied before, and that's why I always go through before I post. That's why I have to think about it, because I don't want it to be because of me.
I think I haven't been bullied. I have received comments, negative comments, but I don't think it has went all the way to being bullied. Because I think 1 year ago I had a big afro. So everyone felt like it's their time to keep, judging you.
Criticize you.
Criticize it. So I post a picture on Instagram, and I actually went to a point where that was my first time when I turned off commenting. I was like, wow. So people feel the need to criticize it. It's mine.
It's your hair.
Yeah.
Do you know people or have friends whose mental health has been affected by social media?
Yes, I have a friend. I lost a friend to suicide. And I know I have a lot of my friends or a lot of people I know going through depression that have found their way out, and others still going through it, trying to help and all that. Yes, I do.
I've lost a friend to suicide that was, I personally think, was triggered by a post she did like 1 week before she died. She had said, there is this thing we do on Instagram, ask me any question. And then she had dated this guy who was going through something with another girl. And then people attacked her, saying she was the side chick and she knew the friend was having a thing with that guy. And so they attacked her. And then she spent like the whole day trying to explain herself, trying to be defensive, trying to be whatever. And she was already at a very pretty bad place.
Yeah.
And I think someone said, you're not even needed. Who could even date a girl like you? I don't even understand how boys work. Like, it was very mean comments. And then she was also becoming even very defensive, and people keep on asking, and she keeps so I think I cannot affirm it that is the reason why she committed suicide, but I think she was already at a pretty bad stage in her life, and that kind of pushed the
her.
whole so I had
Okay.
that.
Me too. I have friends that go through that. They can't go outside with friends because they are like, what will I wear? Will it be pleasant? They feel like they can't be like, they want to be like someone else, but they can't. Yeah, I have friends because of social media.
So they worry about their appearance.
Yes,
how people will comment on what they're wearing.
Yes.
How they look.
Yes.
Okay. So after all of these questions, I think one of the things that I want to go back to is this kind of addictive aspect of social media. So on one hand, social media is amazing and it's helpful and it kind of connects us to each other and to people we don't even know. So that's a good thing. The bad thing is that as humans, we tend to compare ourselves to others. And so if, as you've said, right, there are so many people that when they post, they are using apps to get rid of the wrinkles and the lines and the dark circles, and you look amazing, like you just had plastic surgery or something. And that's not really how you look. But it looks good. And then, how you dress, what you wear. There are apps that can make men like have a six-pack, like how you are, all buff. So you can present yourself in a really positive, attractive way that's totally not accurate, not the truth. And even though people know that, they still see it, and it reinforces this feeling of inferiority or insecurity, like, they're doing these amazing things. Like, as you were saying, how do they find time to be here and on vacation in France, and they're having these amazing times, and where do they get the money to do this? The really negative thing, I think, the most negative thing about social media, and the people who created all of these apps, they knew this. What happens in your brain about social media is that it's highly addicting, because every time, okay, so let me back up. If they created Facebook, let's start with Facebook, because that was one of the original, right? You know how they have like, don't like, or whatever? If they didn't have that, if they had no evaluation of what you post, would you be so interested? Probably not, right? Initially, you might want to look at pictures and, but if there's no way to comment on anything, it's not very reinforcing. So you're probably not going to use the app as much. But we all get caught up in, oh my gosh, how many likes did I get on that photo I posted? And then you're checking, right? Ooh, I'm at 24. Okay, and then 2 hours later, oh my gosh, I'm at 42. They're really liking this, right? And if you post multiple things, and then you go, right? Then you go to, oh, well, who liked my picture, right? Oh my God, it's my friend. Or, well, wait, why didn't this friend like my photo? And this guy, he didn't like my photo? What? And so we go into this whole critical self-analysis based on like, who clicked the like button. What happens in your brain is every time you see a new like, dopamine is released in your brain. It's pleasurable. It's like every time, if you love chocolate, it's like every time you eat chocolate, dopamine is released in your brain. If you like gambling, right, and you're gambling, dopamine is released. If you smoke cigarettes, it's pleasurable to you. You're addicted. Dopamine is released in your brain. So every time there's a pleasurable activity, dopamine gets released. And so it's reinforcing. So you pick up the phone without even thinking about it, because it's now become a habit. It's automatic. I'm happy to hear that you have this routine that you do in the mornings before you pick up your phone. That's really healthy. But it's hard. A lot of people are like, first thing, I have to admit, sleep with my phone next to me. And my excuse, my rationalization is, well, of course I do, because I have children in the US, right? Grown children, mind you, who don't communicate regularly. But just in case they call, I want to be there for them, right? Although my phone is on silence all night, so I'm not going to hear them anyway. But this is what I tell myself. And yes, I'm like you, first thing, open my eyes, it's like, where's the phone? There it is, okay. And then I'm looking at the phone. So it's addicting.
Yes.
So then the question is, how do you reduce kind of the frequency of use, and why would you do that? So I think anytime you feel like it's interfering in your life, are you using social media to avoid actually interacting with people face to face? All of the research shows that the best way to have relationships is face to face, person to person, like actual human being in front of you. rather than social media. Social media is very superficial. People that you friend or that are acquaintances on social media, unless you've actually established an in-person relationship with them, it's not, you don't get the same dopamine release that you do when you're actually with a person. The cyberbullying, this is a whole other thing. It usually happens to young girls more than anybody. Boys tend to be aggressive in person. So boys can put down other guys or girls in person, but girls tend to bully each other online because it's hidden and you're not really accountable, and it gets really mean and very destructive. The other one, you know, the FOMO phenomenon, fear of missing out, that has to do with human nature again. We, young people, even older people, we want to be liked, we want to be included. So if we find that people are having a party and we didn't get invited, right before social media, you probably wouldn't have known about it for a long time, right? Until somebody said, oops, oh, sorry, you weren't there. And maybe that's weeks later. And it wouldn't affect you in the same way. But when you see people posting photos and they're having this great time and you're like, well, I wasn't invited, then it's really, you know, more hurtful. So I think the thing that with any addiction, whether it's marijuana, it's alcohol, it's gambling, pornography, whatever, the best approach to an addiction is harm reduction, what we call harm reduction. So you can do what we call cold turkey. Cold turkey is stopping, right? This is what you tried. I'm not going to pick up my phone for a month. Probably not realistic, right? So even a day, I mean, a day is like torture. You're like looking at your phone and, oh, no, I won't look. You know, oh, okay, how many more hours? Okay, 3 more hours. Okay, then it's midnight, then I can check, right? Because my 24 hours are up. So if you set realistic goals for yourself, so harm reduction is, how can I reduce my use of social media and use those hours in a constructive way away from social media? So for example, if you're with family, right, and you did this, and I think it's great, although it sounds like your parents kind of failed the exercise during COVID, you know, not checking social media all the time, right, not being on social media all the time. So if you can say, okay, the last, I'm going to check my phone maybe for the last couple of hours before I go to bed, right? And then after that, it's 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or whenever you go to bed, I'm not picking up the phone. In fact, it's not even going to be in my bedroom. I'm going to plug it in. It's going to charge during the night in another room in the house. So I'm not tempted. Because what happens when you get on your phone or on your laptop at night, there's what we call blue light from the phone or the laptop, and it stimulates the part of your brain that's the wake-sleep cycle. So that blue light tells your brain, oh, it's time to wake up. And then it becomes even more difficult to get to sleep. And the biggest problem for people with insomnia or the inability to go to sleep quickly is that they say, oh, I can't sleep, okay, let me just scroll and then I'll fall asleep. But that's not true. That's not what happens usually. Your brain gets stimulated to become more and more awake because it's the blue light stimulating the center of the brain to wake up. So it's kind of a catch-22. It doesn't work well. So that's why if you can limit your screen time before you go to sleep, it can be helpful. Or during the day, if you have something like homework, right? You have to do it. Or you have an article to write. Put your phone somewhere else. Don't even have it with you and focus on that task. You can set alarms for yourself. You know, like for the next 2 hours, I'm not gonna pick up my phone. And then ding, okay, now I get to pick up my phone, right? But you need to start training yourself, literally training yourself not to have this thing in your hand all the time looking at it. The other thing is connecting more with other people. I find it fascinating when I go to a restaurant and I look at couples, right? And I know they're dating, right? Or I'm assuming they're dating. And they're both on their phones and they're not even looking at each other or talking to each other. And I'm like, how are you guys dating? How are you communicating with each other, right? So I think it interferes with how we're connecting to people. I've had married couples say to me, you know, our communication is really bad. And so I ask them, okay, tell me about a typical day in your family. Well, you know, we both work, so we come home and then, you know, he's watching TV, he's on his phone, I'm on the computer chatting with friends, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, I'll send him a message and I'm like, wait, what? You're in the same house together? Yeah, I'll send him a message saying, oh, you know, we should do something on Saturday. I'm like, okay, wait. So you're in one room and he's in the other room and you're sending him a message on your phone. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, here's the problem. You know, what happens if you get up and go into the room where he is and you sit down and have a conversation? Oh, right? So, and then parents get really frustrated with kids who are at the table for dinner and the kids are on their phones. And then the parents feel like, you know, you never talk to us. You don't share with us what's going on. So maybe a rule is no phones at the table for parents and kids. The other thing I see a lot of is parents who work a lot and then when they get home, they're on their phones all the time. And the kids are saying, we never talk to our parents. They're busy. You know, so it works both ways. It's not just youth on social media. Parents do this too. And so kids feel like they don't get quality time with the parents.
Well, you see, let's say in my case, where my work demands having your phone all the time or being updated on what's going on social media, and I already have that problem and I do not know how to cut it off. So how do I do it? What's healthy? How do I compensate for the time I will spend on social media?
Okay, you're complicated because it's your job, right? So I would say two things. One is, I don't know if you take a lunch break, but I would say during your lunch break, turn your phone off. Don't check your media. No, I know you're like, oh my God, are you kidding?
Yes, okay.
And the other thing is, at bedtime, what time do you go to bed?
Around 10.
Okay.
That's the time I set without my phone. But when my phone comes in, 11.
Okay, so let's say 11. From 11, what time do you wake up?
At 6.
Okay, so do you check your phone between 11 and 6? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so work on that. Don't have it in the room. So when you decide 11 o'clock, right, phone goes in another room. Because honestly, between 11 and 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., the world is going to do just fine without you knowing what's happening.
Right. Okay. Another thing is parents. You see, before it was called a thing for the youth,
Yes.
social media.
Yeah.
But now we've come to realize that we are not the only ones. And matter of fact, we see older people doing TikTok videos. So it means they're also spending more time. And you also see in the case of Ornella, where her parents are the one who failed the test. In another cases, probably my dad, who is like no phones on the table, but his phone is an exception. So what do you tell parents who don't even do this consciously? They don't realize that they're also part of the people who can be addicted.
And you know, I mean, I think we can't target parents, but parents have brains that react the same way that youth have brains that react the same way. Meaning that dopamine gets stimulated in parental brains, right, and youth brains. So you're going to find yourself addicted or impulsively just picking up the phone without even thinking about it. I think there are very few professions where you really have the excuse of, no, I have to check my phone. So maybe if you're a surgeon and you just had a patient in surgery and you want to make sure that everything's okay, for me, my excuse is, well, sometimes I have suicidal clients and so I have to be 24/7. Honestly, that's not the truth, right? But I think we don't tell ourselves the truth. Everything will be just fine in the world and with you and with your friends if you don't check so often. So I think if you have an app that tells you, Jade, you were on your phone 62 times today, right? So then your goal is, okay, maybe tomorrow I'll do 50, right? Let me just, every time, let me wait, or check it once an hour. But just this reduction.
Rather than turkey.
Cold turkey.
Yeah, cold turkey.
I mean, and I don't know how realistic that is, right? Because it is a part of our life. It does have beneficial, what if there's an emergency and someone does need to get you and you've just turned off your phone and put it in the other room? I mean, so things do happen. But I think that tendency that we have to just pick up our phone every time, throughout the day, and then, I've caught myself in the evening when I'm tired and I'm just kind of, I'm scrolling through videos, right? Because that's the other thing, they're bite-sized. And our brain likes things that are very quick and stimulating, and you get just a little piece, and then you move on to something else. What happens is it reinforces our inability to concentrate because we're not sustaining attention for a long period of time. Things are in bits and pieces. And so the other thing about the social media, and I do want to mention this, is, and you were talking about your friend and suicide, when people, the research shows that a lot of use of social media contributes to depression, anxiety, and poor self-image, especially in women, the poor self-image, and eating disorders, starving yourself so that you can be thin, because so-and-so on social media is like this, So the research is a little bit vague in terms of, does social media cause depression, or are people already depressed and then they use social media because they are isolated, they're less interactive, so they go to social media to feel connected. I think research would show you both, sides of that. But nonetheless, it does contribute to depression and anxiety, and reinforces negative feelings, negative self-feelings, self-image.
We have seen, like in the last years, from the lockdowns up to now, we have seen a lot of young people rise up to talk about depression, to talk about mental health. But I think that I think that many young people also don't understand what really is depression. They don't understand more about mental health. So when they talk about it, they confuse it, which also creates the awareness that we are trying to bring in the young people. It kind of declines it more. And it brings a lot of confusion, because when you ask one person about depression and you ask the other, they may give you different views, different definitions, different ways it affects them. So I was asking, is there a way you can suggest, or an advice you can give to the young people on how exactly to get the right resources, the right sources of information, and how to actually use social media as a way to raise awareness on mental health?
Thank you. Absolutely excellent question. So depression is kind of interesting in that there are different kinds of depression. And by that I mean there's situational depression, right? Let's say you lose your job and you get really depressed. You're sad, maybe you don't eat, you cry, you feel worthless, hopeless. That's depression. But eventually you move out of that. You don't stay stuck. So that's not what we would call clinical depression, right? Clinical depression is when you have those symptoms for a longer period of time, 6 months or longer, and you can't really seem to get out of it yourself. People will tell you, oh no, you know, courage, chimera, you know, be strong. Think positively, and you can't, you're stuck. And maybe you don't want to get out of bed in the morning. And so there are certain symptoms that are very tied to a clinical depression. How do you know the difference? I think a lot of people, excuse me, go to Google, which is a great resource. I mean, I call it Uncle Google. And me, I go to Google for everything. But you have to be careful because there's a lot of false information also on the internet. So I would suggest that if you want to look at mental health issues or what is depression or am I depressed, right? Google that, am I depressed? And then they give you the symptoms. Choose sites like American Medical Association, like well-known medical associations that are known for, you know, work, right, in mental health. Not just people's blogs, not just what people's opinions are. YouTube is kind of dangerous that way because a lot of people post videos about all kinds of stuff, and you can't really assume that everything that's posted is accurate or true. I mean, if you look at during COVID, right, there's all kinds of anti-vaccine information, especially in the US. You know, we had the anti-vaxxers who are posting videos about how if you get the injection, they're putting a chip in you and then they can whatever. And so you really have to be careful. But I think if you have questions about mental health, you can use the internet. You can look for resources, but make sure that they're legitimate and professional resources. I would say the other thing I think that we really need here in Rwanda is kind of a social media campaign to show what the resources are, how you connect to those resources, what you can expect from those resources, and you know, create more resources, because a lot of people they're kind of still in the am I or am I not depressed, yeah. And it's, you know, how do I know if I am? One of the things that I think would be great to do, and we could probably do this through Indera, is have like a screening day, kind of a national screening for depression day. You know, so how do you know if you have symptoms that are pretty consistent with a diagnosis of depression? And then what do you do? It's one thing to know I'm depressed, but it's another thing to know, what do I do now?
Yeah. That was very interesting. And well, I think we come to the end of this conversation, and we learned pretty much a lot. And one of them is FOMO. FOMO, fear of missing out. I think I found myself guilty on that. And what about you? Did you relate to any of the things that were mentioned in this conversation? And I hope you find it very much insightful. So one way to continue to share with us your thoughts and what you would want to see more on our platforms, you can reach us on www.newtimes.co.rw for more information, and you can also reach us on different social media to engage us on what you're thinking and what you would want to hear more. If you want us to bring Miss Dr. Cindi another time, basically feel free to let us know what your thoughts are. Thank you very much for staying with us till the end, and thank you for everybody who was here with me on the panel. See you next time.